Hi, do you believe that you're a visionary? See, a lot that may have confused a lot of you. So let me rephrase the question. Do you believe that you have a vision? You know, a lot of people mistake a goal for a vision. And there's nothing wrong with having goals, but a vision isn't something that you can set up in your carnal mind. Um, Let me try it again. Do you know what a vision is? Not a goal, but a vision. You see, a true vision comes from God. A God-given vision is a powerful thing. And it's something that the Creator deposits into your spirit. And see, a vision is something that the Holy Spirit puts inside of you that says, this is my highest calling for you. This is my call. This is my dream. This is my vision for your life. And the interesting thing about having a vision is it's always bigger than what you can do alone. You know, as leaders and CEOs of your service organizations, each one of you, whether you realize it or not, are looked at as visionaries. And it's important because, the world needs you. See, the world needs your gifts, your knowledge, your talent, your skills, and your abilities. And it also needs your mind and your effort. And so, just like you matter, your mindset matters just as much. And I'm here to lead you from good to great. So I noticed there's a lot of seasoned professionals, a lot of new business leaders, new business owners, as well as visionaries in the conference today. And I want to welcome you to your first mindset coaching session with me, Kenny Brown, also known as Kenny B Speaks. Now, before we get started, I want you to take a moment in the chat and write mindset matters. All right. Mindset matters. And then I want you to mention, where are you viewing from? And what is your mission? What's the name of your organization? Let's synergize and collaborate just a little bit before we dive deep into this information. Now, as a mindset coach and an entrepreneur and a bridge builder, my job is to inspire thought, is to give you perspective, and to help you keep your mind focused on the bigger picture. I'm also a CPA and a risk management expert and a brand manager and what I call a bridge builder. I help you get from one step to the next, to change your paradigm, to open up your mind, and help you go from good to great. See, my calling and my mission here is to be a catalyst for change by providing you with thought and stimulating actions to lead you, just to better decisions so that you can become unstuck, to change the pattern and the sequence of your life. And that's how you do it. That's how you change the vibe. And a lot of people ask me, well, Kenny, how do you do that? Well, the first step is I help to raise your awareness by giving you a different perspective to help you see that bigger picture. By opening up your mind and allowing you to just look at it from a different lens to help you solve a problem that you may not have seen the solution at the first time. I'm a firm believer that if you can change your mind, then you can also change your life. And miracles are nothing more than a shift in perspective and the way that you see things. And by looking at things through a divine lens, what we're able to do is we ultimately can change the vibe. Change the vibe. You change your emotions. And when enough of us are able to change the vibe, then together we can change the world. And that's how we ultimately impact the society and the communities that we live in. So, opening us up to selflessly serving our communities, our culture, and operating in our calling is what we ultimately need to do with our time on this earth. And I'm here to help you stay focused on the bigger picture. You ready? Let's get started. So I recently read a book called Grit by an author named Angela Duckworth. And in that book, it explains the importance of power and passion and perseverance. And how many of you have heard of that book? Okay. Well, it's a New York Times bestseller. And if you haven't checked it out, then I definitely recommend that you check it out. Matter of fact, type grit in the chat right now so I know that you're with me. Grit, grit. You see, in that book, she explains the difference between high achievers and those that have talent but lack ambition. Can you relate? She points out a few things that I want to share with you. And, I want to kind of make sure that we walk through this slowly together. The first thing, high achievers are constantly driven to improve. They were perfect examples of people who would persevere. And perseverance ultimately would make them not give up when things get hard. For most of them, there's no realistic expectation of ever catching up to their actual ambitions, and they're okay with that, right? Because they want to work. They embrace the power in making sure that they can do their best and continue to try and continue to strive. In the book The Alchemist, they talk about reaching your final goal, and when you reach the goal, sometimes your motivation just fades away. Well, high achievers, they realize that the goal is bigger than them, and they never stop working. I want the same thing for you. See, in their eyes, they were never good enough. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't feel worthy. It meant that they were never complacent. And yet, in a very real sense, they were satisfied being unsatisfied. We got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Can you relate? The second thing, they are resilient and hardworking. See, each of them were chasing some unparalleled interest of importance. And it was the chase as much as it was the capture that's gratifying, that satisfied them, that gave them that rush, that fulfillment, that internal motivation that they needed to continue to go further, to go farther. I want the same for you. And even if some things that they had to do were boring, or, they just were monotonous and tedious and even painful, they wouldn't dream of giving up. And because their passion was enduring. See, and the third thing, they had direction. See, they knew in a very, very deep way what they wanted and how they wanted to get it done. And the vision that they had in their head, they had the direction to go forward and to persevere through it, and the passion and the power and the enthusiasm to endure. See, they not only had determination, but they have direction. And many of you in the conference right now have the same qualities. You have determination and you have direction. So now what do you do? When things get hard, when the donors aren't coming in, when the staff isn't being motivated, when the mission becomes a little distorted, what do you do? I'm here to help you out, because mindset matters. See, the combination of passion and perseverance make high achievers special. It separates you from the crowd. And in the book, it says that this is the definition of grit. And to all my fellow visionaries out there in the audience today, and all of you that are tuned in and throughout this conference, not just this meeting, but all the other meetings and presentations that you've been a part of, I want to know, do you have grit? Do you have it? Are you driven by a constant need to improve? Are you resilient? Will you persevere? Do you work hard? Can you stay focused on the mission when times get hard and when the donors aren't coming in? And do you have direction? Do you see the vision clearly? I want you to leave a comment in the chat right now and tell me, do you see it? Do others see it around you? What are you doing about it? Mindset matters. If you see it, I want you to type in the chat and say, I see it. Kenny, I see it. And followed by hashtag mindset matters. We're going to start a movement here. And I want you to get this enthusiasm and spread this energy all over the room. Do you see it? See, many of you are great leaders and extremely talented. And I'm not going to take that away from you. And that makes you special. And yes, that gives you a lot of praise and a lot of accolades. And that feels good. But you may be frustrated that you haven't achieved your goals, or things aren't happening fast enough, or it's not manifesting in the way that you see it, that you saw it in your head, or that it was deposited in your heart. And so therefore, you might be a little discouraged. It's okay. That's natural. It happens. But you can't stay there. See, you can feel the emotion, but if you get stuck in the emotion, you start having diminishing returns. And that is what we can't do, because the world needs you. I want you to know that I see you. And for those of you that maybe are a little apprehensive at admitting that, man, I'm struggling, I'm tough, it's tough for me out here, and your pride may be in the way, I just want to let you know, I see you too. And this message is for you. So let's go into my tip. I'm going to put my CPA hat on for a second. I'm going to give you a couple of formulas to help you change the vibe to your mindset, to help you make better choices, and to ultimately change your perspective so you can approach your situations or your challenges different. Are you ready? All right, here we go. So the first equation will help you go from talent to achievement. And how do you do that? Well, here it is. Talent times effort equals skill. And skill times effort equals achievement. Remember that. Talent times effort equals skill. And skill times effort equals achievement. You know, talent is how quickly you can get your skills to improve when you invest effort. And achievement is what happens when you are able to, when you take your acquired skill and you use them. Major difference. High achievers understand the importance of effort. And when you consider, when you consider the people at this conference and people that are in similar circumstances as you, that have similar talents that you have, what's going to ultimately separate you from those people are effort. How much effort that you put in? How much do you believe in it? How dedicated are you? How committed are you to persevere through passion, through pain, and do what ultimately you're called to do, and execute the God-given vision that's been implanted and inserted into your mind, your body, and your soul. The second formula is a part of a personal productivity framework. And you can find out more about this framework that I personally put together. And you can visit my website. It's www.kennybspeaks.com, or by joining my Vibe Tribe community on Facebook and our weekly newsletter. See, you can also contact me at Kenny B Speaks on social media, all social media platforms, and send me a message if you do, and let me know that you were a part of this presentation and a part of the conference. And let's go further into this next framework that I'm going to discuss with you. Here we go. The formula is called E.S.A.P. Expectations plus structure plus accountability equals productivity. Not ASAP, E.S.A.P. This framework is used to determine the root of your expectations. And ultimately, it helps you decide or determine whether those expectations are internal facing or external facing. What does that mean? Well, some of the expectations that we have in our life are things that we've imposed on ourselves because we have high expectations for ourselves. We have great dreams, goals, desires, things that we want to do. Whereas the external expectations are things that are imposed on us by others. They come through the roles that we play on a day-to-day basis, whether it's being an employee at work, whether it's being a father, a mother, a husband, a wife, a sister, a brother, a leader, a boss, an executive, a CEO. These are these roles and these titles come with expectations that we may not have been aware of before we started. And therefore, it makes it a little challenging for us to meet those expectations or be who other people expect us to be because we didn't sign up for those expectations. We didn't know they came with the hat. And a lot of people probably want to walk in your shoes or wear the hats that you wear, but they don't know what comes with the calling, just like you didn't. So being able to understand where those expectations are coming from and the root of those expectations helps us to prioritize our effort and our energy. It helps us to keep the first things. And when it comes to expectations, when they're not prioritized in a meaningful way, then we can waste our effort and our energy throughout each day trying to prioritize things that just don't belong in the first place. It knocks us off of balance. And we end up burning out. And so when we're showing up to work and we're showing up to serve, ultimately, we're not showing up in a good emotional space and a good emotional health. Why? Because our expectations are out of order and mindset matters. See, by understanding the root of your expectations, we are able to continue to put together a structure around those things, a structure that will ultimately help us be more productive and help us find flow in our lives. And, if we can align those expectations with the logical structure, then it will help us find balance, find focus. It allows us to channel our effort and our energy and our time into things that are fruitful so that we can take steps forward in a way that allows us to feel fulfillment when we lay down at the end of the day. And that leads me to the next part. Okay? The next part, structure. Now, each of us have been a part of a structure at some type, right? Whether it's grade school, K through 12, whether it's athletic programs, whether it's developmental programs at work, church organizations, athletic programs, fitness programs, meal plans, the military, anything that has put you in a certain system to help you be productive, to help you meet the expectations of those that have set out the goals and the mission of the organization. And in each example, we've been exposed to a formal program and process to help us achieve the greater goal, the greater results, the higher you in some cases. However, what happens is when we're left to our own devices and we get out on our own, then we abandon the structure, whether we rebel against it because, you know what, I'm never doing that again. I went to school for so long. I woke up so early for so long. I'm never going to do that. And when we get on our own, what happens is we abandon the same structure and the same processes that have proven successful over the course of our life. Can you relate? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Well, when we do that, we wonder why we're always burnt out. We wonder why, we put in all this effort and punch these clocks and we work around the clock, but we don't seem to feel fulfilled or like we're actually making progress each day or each week. And we feel like we're just like a hamster on a wheel that's just constantly running and running and running and running, but we're not really seeing the results. So we get discouraged and we quit. See, by not having structure, actual structure to follow in our life, it's hard for us to find flow. And finding flow is ultimately our ability to align what we believe with what we say, with what we do. And making sure that those three areas of our life are in alignment so that therefore, when we get up on a day-to-day basis and we implement these and we make the choices that we have to make every day, that they are aligned to a bigger goal, a bigger purpose, a higher calling, a God-given vision. And as leaders and CEOs, it's important that we actually have that structure in place that we follow on our own. Before we can lead others, we must first lead ourselves. And before we can take people to higher ground, we must first find common ground. Remember that. Put that in the chat. If you're with me, say, I found common ground. Now let's find higher ground. I found common ground. Now, let's find higher ground. Now, structure, we got accountability. Well, no, we have expectations. We have structure that leads us to accountability. Now, as visionaries, leaders, CEOs, it's our job to maintain accountability, not just for ourselves, but for others. And if we can align our personal or organizational expectations with a logical structure that helps us find balance, focus, then we can ultimately keep ourselves accountable, right? Or so we think. Well, what is accountability? What is it made of? What does it consist of? Well, guess what? Accountability is your ability to stay in control, to stay in alignment. It includes self-discipline. It includes self-control, which is key. And the people around you learn based on the example that you set. Don't forget, you're a leader. You're a CEO, not just a boss, a leader, a visionary. So you're going to set the tone in each one of your organizations, which is you set the tone in raising funds. You set the tone in making sure the mission is at the top of the list and it always is in perspective and you're keeping the first thing first, And so, you don't want to lead by do as I say, not as I do. You want to lead by example so that when people see the results of your commitment, of your sacrifice, of your efforts, that they get on board with the program. Why? Because success leaves clues and you can't argue with results. At the end of the day, people can have any opinion they want, but if you're productive, if you're successful, they can't argue with the results. And regardless of where you stand, you can always measure the level of success or failure based on the results. Remember, failure is also results. It's when you don't try that you don't get those results. But by keeping yourself on a logical structure and holding yourself accountable, which includes self-discipline and self-control, then ultimately your efforts are never wasted. Because regardless of what happens at the end of the result, you learn and you grow and you get a step better, you get a step higher, you go a step further. I'm here to help you make that leap. See, in the case that we have no choice, but to be productive, it seems as if we feel defeated, right? Because we're climbing an uphill battle that we just don't see the end. We don't see the top. We don't see the finish line. And when discouragement kicks in, that's when the enemy starts to tell you that you can't do it, tell you that you can't go further, that you can't go farther, that you can't go higher. Well, I'm here to tell you different. Why? Because mindset matters. My name is Kenny Brown. I believe that you can do it. I believe that by aligning expectations with a logical structure, with accountability, you can be productive in anything in your life. I believe in you. And if you can change your mind, then you can also change your life. I'm here to help you find common ground, to take you to higher ground. Mindset matters. Please give me a call. Reach out to me on social media at kennybspeaks.com or at kennybspeaks. Send me an email, kennyb@missionroadfaith.com. I'd love to explain this framework. I have classes and courses that can outline and help walk you through how to go from good to great, to help you manifest your talents into progress, into results, without burning out, without feeling overwhelmed, so that you can do and be who God called you to be and walk in a higher calling and your higher purpose. That is how you change the vibe. Thank you for your time.